Hello, fellow armchair generals. I just had a crash, and I'm going to hopefully put both of these two episodes together into one. But and as I was doing it, I realized that it was causing it. So if you get this, if you ever see not the first of these three numbers, but the second and third number in red, don't click on the production number. And it was happening because whether it was the Pact of Steel effects, or it was the farm machinery effect, or the Imperial City government, for some reason it tweaks out the production numbers here for some reason, and these go red. So if they go red, just give it another day. Let the clock go forward. It will readjust itself back to some sort of level of sanity, however it is. But if you, like I did, click on the production when it's red up here, these two numbers, it will crash. And this is maybe only tangentially a black ice thing, in the sense that black ice is throwing the effects on it. It's more of an engine problem than anything else. So just wanted you to know that it's an engine problem and not a design problem here. A bug to be fixed. So, okay, whatever. So, installation security. Done that well enough. We don't need to keep researching any more of that for now. That allows us to do the air bases, which will allow us to later on expand other air bases. And 4-engine bomb bay advance. Let's do this. Yes, we're fully there. Fighter. Okay. Part of the reason, since we've just get back to this one, inherited Austria, these things are coming onto line, which will affect various production totals here. Okay, that's maxed out with that. There will take this opportunity to build a few more factories. Nice on the east. Since we want them done sooner rather than later. So right now with this deficit, we're not importing or whatever food. Hopefully this will get adjusted quickly here. already did things. Forgot to put that up at the top. Okay. We give them supplies for money, yes. No, didn't click there. Yes, Hungary. And yes, Saudi Arabia. Units are out of supply because we haven't yet traced in supply from there. Fighter ground crew training improved. We're gonna shift that down to attack pilot or attack ground crew. And light bomber prototypes have advanced, which allows us to continue researching there. Yes, and yes. Yes, yes. Yes. No. And that we already lost that. No, no. So Germany is now a much larger place. We're going to have a bunch of events starting next month because of Austria command decision making that naval. We have a bunch of those old battleships. We're going to do that. Some basic training. And because of the various marine essay, we have a little bit of a head start there. And that's what those events are made. They're not made to, give free text, but just to give a little bump, a little historically based bump. Well, our 2 mines have come online. They're probably not fully online yet, but which should help that to some degree. And we'll also get help, like I was pointing out earlier. Down here as these get, so they are at naturally fully 12, so they're almost there. So between those and other technologies, will move up. Okay, supply organization advanced. Now, of course, we've also added all of Austria's ICs and some of its army over to that we need to support as well. So it isn't just purely more research or more resources. Okay, supply organization. Talking too much about other things while trying to play here. Okay. We're gonna radios. Standard infantry branch. Okay. We're going to go with camouflage designs. Yes, I'd rather just take it from you later, but I need it now. Idle. Also, I don't want to do the shipping. Maybe I should though, I don't know. That's a better offer. Bulgaria. Yes. South Africa. Yes, okay. Bomb site. Bombing site advance. Yeah. Let's look at submarine techs. How we can improve the torpedoes. New Zealand too far away. So the longer the supply lines, the more ships it takes. Too small of them. Not that I want to put on a ship. I'd rather just buy a bunch of steel from the US or Soviet Union. Aircraft hangars have advanced. For the carriers, okay. I guess we gotta increase the armor. Too small. So let's just see about buying some steel from the US. What does Soviet Union doesn't have any money, so decline. We're going to buy it from the Soviet Union. Give them some money so that we could later sell them some supplies, hopefully. And we're going to try to sell supplies to the US. 25 sounds good. Soviet steel, selling America supplies. Get this number up quicker. Oops, somebody got away with our blueprints. That's gone up considerably, and that's gone up even more. We're still way in the red. Okay, we're going to do one more here. One more here. Try to get this a little bit better. My personal take is that I shouldn't, well, I don't think I should have to be expanding the steel. I agree with, because Germany had a steel situation and needed to import. But, and yeah, it could be simply building another dam or building, expanding some mines that were there. I don't know, but I still think it's a little much to have to do here. Medium bomber type has improved. Okay. Alright, we'll switch over to that. And Republican Spain, we give them fuel for money? Certainly. How's your Civil War doing? Well, you're getting that one pretty well finished off. Oh, that didn't last long. How is Japan doing? Oh, wow, they're really kicking ass. Oh, we have another decision available. Yes, we will take a U-boat flotilla. And this time we're putting it into the queue. Let's take a quick look at this. Okay. Put it up top. There. We'll get it through much quicker. Reduce our practicals, or increase our practicals, reduce our production time. Doing fairly well with those. Those are coming due. Fighters. We need some more fighters in there. They're doing very well. Maybe they'll have China sewn up before the start of the war. Or before the Japanese entry into World War II, and by going after the Americans and the British. Okay, well now let's see what Romania wants first. We give them money. We give them money now. I don't want fuel. Money now. No. No fuel. We have plenty and we will make more. Bulgaria. No. Mentioning that, let's take a quick look. We've got pretty good, a lot of trades with the Soviet Union, a lot of trades with the US, Japan, lots of trade. Italy very much, though they're now our allies. Estonia, that's just sucking a little bit of our rare materials away from the Soviet Union occupying. Look at all those trades, more than a full window full with Finland. That should really be moving them more towards us. Sweden, Hungary, they should be moving more towards us. Poland, we really don't care about them diplomatically. Romania, they should be moving towards us. Bulgaria, they should be moving much more towards us. Iran and Iraq, particularly Iran. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, again a lot of trades with Turkey. Now, all of these are going to have to stop once the war starts. But at least we're getting better relationships with Argentina, we're improving there. Uruguay. Or Uruguay. Uruguay, as I understand the way they would pronounce it. No, we don't want fuel. And as we can see, there's Finland still coming towards us there. We're doing pretty well getting a lot of these guys in our neighborhood already. Fighter bomber prototype has advanced. Okay. Let's shift that up to. I don't mind being like a year behind on dive bombers and fighter bombers. It's the fighters that I'm particularly worried about. Wanting to keep them up to date. That's where the real competition is. I see, oh, we have more leadership to use. I'm a little torn on this technology. I'm going to use it because it's going to help against air defense here, but it's really a stupid technology. I don't know if you've seen the photos of the Focke-Verlane, the quad anti-aircraft gun mounted on the German submarine, and the it's gun camera footage of them of some sort of, I don't, presumably British, but some sort of attack fighter coming in on it. It very quickly showed no anti-aircraft works against aircraft effectively and protects the submarine to like battle it on the surface. Watch some good World War II submarine movies, made during World War II or shortly thereafter. They do have them shooting at aircraft, and one of them I'm thinking of particularly, in which they shoot down some aircraft with just the .30 caliber machine guns kind of thing. No, it ain't gonna happen. It's a silly thing to do. You just dive and get away from any air as soon as it's around, whoever the air is. You don't wait around to find out. So actually, anti-aircraft guns, in my opinion, are counterproductive. They, sure, if I had a submarine, because they're not, they're more surface boats that can dive. Sure, you have places to mount a few 30 caliber type machine guns on them. I'm not disputing that. I'm thinking of a proper anti-aircraft guns. They just increase drag in the water, so they slow up the aircraft. I mean, the submarine underwater particularly, and you want to go as quickly as you can there. And they are, like I say, near useless at shooting at aircraft. And unlike the deck gun on a submarine that you can use to shell shore targets, the Japanese did a little of that on the American coast. You can do that with them, or you can use them to sink surface vessels, particularly unarmed surface vessels. There is some reason to have, a larger caliber gun, but no reason to have anti-aircraft guns on there. Okay, S.A. Ritter, Kampfmannschaften, combat companies of Gruppe Middle, their sort of sports day, if you will, or their showing off to the crowds, riding around. So the S.A. Ritter S.A. were holding a bunch more training display elements. The second Marine SA event. That's the Marine SA flag, one of the unit collar tabs, as you see the anchor there. That is a smallish vessel, not too large. Lots of small sails there. It's not like the Horst vessel or anything, but that is one of the SA owned training vessels there. And as it says here, they did training on lakes and along major rivers. And it's sort of hard to see in the size of this photo, but follow here. There's a vertical and cross things you can sort of barely make out there. And second one there, that there's a mock-up of a sailing vessel there. It's not an actual big ship. It's just sort of next to the water, so that you could have a water side to it. And because I was able to zoom in and see clearer on the original photo, unfortunately you lose some of this stuff. Just mention that. I know I've mentioned before, I really, and I've asked Podcat if he could do, and if you ever want to go on, find the modders request on Hearts of Iron 4 forum, modder features, I really, really, really want to be able to make animated GIFs. I'm not very knowledgeable on it right now, but I would become so, because what I would love to do is to take a photo like this, have it sort of full screen here, and then zoom in on it. We're not. Sometimes I would try to do movie clips, but like zoom in to show so you can see it without somebody like me explaining to you what's going on. You just have like the zoom in feature, whether it's like a slideshow zoomed in, just 6 images that hold there for a few seconds, or a smooth zoom in. Either way, I would want to make a lot of interesting things. But so this is a training facility here set up by the Marine SA. It's a bunch of small boats, and it says in there, but I forget, but it's fairly inland, around here somewhere. So the Marine SA were training up at sea, which is that vessel there, very coastally at sea, but also at an inland basis that they had set up around Germany. So it's fairly large SA element for that, so we can keep training. Supplies, we're not doing so well in supplies, but I'm going to take it. The other, obviously, you can choose not to if you're abandoning a naval option. If you're going to go, hey, we're going to attack the Soviet Union and forget everything else, you don't need to do that. Quickly see here. So where is Battleship Crew Training, November 38. There, keep training. Look at it and see, it was the 1st of November. Now we're at October 12th, 38. So we've improved that as well as a bunch of others a bit. Okay, Goering. Okay, now these sometimes they go under there. Nice picture of Goering there. And this is a picture from the event, his early period. Goering orders Jews to get out of Austria. Another headline from the Los Angeles Times, Goering orders all Jews to get out of Austria. Field Marshal Hermann Goering, in a speech to 50,000 Austrians in Vienna, warned the Jews that they must get out of Austria. Vienna is not a German city because 300,000 Jews live here. Vienna must become a German again. The Jews must know we do not care to live with him. Oh, the Jew must know we do not care to live with him. He must go. Goering also said that the Habsburg monarchist movement is forever dead. So, like I said earlier on the Kaiser, the other Kaiser, the Habsburg, or the Hohenzollern Kaiser, that was just support of him in exile. It was just lip service to keep the traditionalists in Germany and the army particularly happy. The Nazis were they wanted their new aristocracy, the Nazi aristocracy. They did not want the old one back in power. Obviously there are a few of them in the Nazi movement, but they wanted to do this, so they wanted the Habsburgs out. And in a way, this is correct that Vienna was maybe not so much a German city, particularly from a Nazi point of view. It was a cosmopolitan city. Vienna was. It was the center of the Habsburg Empire, and if you notice how close it is to Hungary, to the Hungarians, the Slovakians, the Czechs, or if you want to call them Bohemians, the Slovenians, the Croats. It was a very cosmopolitan city, and the aristocratic language for a long time had been French, not German. From my understanding, during the more Habsburg era, for the Habsburg Empire, 18th century is sort of what I'm thinking of at the moment. If you came in and you were an elite, those are the people who traveled generally at the time, came into Austria or came into Vienna, you spoke French to the to your fellows. It was sort of speak to the servants, you would speak German. So it was this very sort of non-German city from a Nazi viewpoint. And the big evil people were the Jews, and so they wanted to get rid of the Jews from there. And so we gained some dissent and we'll lower our relations with the U.S. because it's printed in a U.S. newspaper as a very negative article. Okay, the University Technique Tehran, or clinic, I guess it's a university. This is a university hospital in Tehran. The Iranians wanted it, and they contacted the German government for support on this, and they got the Philip Holtzman company to come down and build it for them. You can see a model of it. They're very large. It's a very big thing. There's a picture of the Ernst Kupp, the architect for it, and so project leader. That's an earlier World War I photo. I couldn't find a 1930s photo of them. Goes down at 500-bed hospital, and it's also, in a training hospital, an educational hospital. We can build it, spend the supplies, the metal, the energy, and improve our relations with Iran. If you don't want to, just go no need. I want to improve it, so I'm going to go do that. Diplomatic report, or diplomatic service reports. Edward Bernays, president of Czechoslovakia, is on the cover of Time magazine in the USA. So this also disrupts our relations with U.S. a bit more, because it's talking about how Czechoslovakia is resisting German aggression. Okay, 5-mark plan. This is where I get to talk a little bit about economies. Economies aren't zero-sum games. They, meaning there isn't just a piece of pie, or a full pie, and rich people get a big chunk of it, and poor people only get a little of it, and that's all there is. Or there's only a, finite amount of gold that we could all put in a pile, and then only some people get some of it. Sort of like land, more or less, is a zero-sum game. You can't have one person own all the land and then somebody else own some of it. No, it's a piece of pie. You carve it up. So land is a zero-sum game. Obviously, like in the Netherlands, where they reclaim land from the sea, you can increase the land, but basically it's a zero-sum game. Economies aren't that way. Rich people are not rich because they've taken too much of the pie, and the poor can't have the pie. Economies are dynamic things. They can grow. Germany and any nation, and it can be a problem, we saw very much so in the several hyperinflation periods in Germany. Basically, those periods are responsible for getting the Nazis in power. Nazis were losing power until the second major hyperinflationary period happened. They hyperinflated the money to pay off the war debts. But governments can print up as much money as they need to. I've had a little debates with some of the contributors that they want to have, well, Germany had such money problems, I've read about them, trying to get more money, so want to do this and give them money up here. I'm going, it's domestic, it doesn't give them any more money. You can print up as much money as you want. It doesn't cost any money, to build a tank. Oh, we need some more tanks, just print up more money. Now, you're not necessarily physically printing up the money, but you're putting it into government accounts that you're then sending a check into, Porsche's account for building tanks, or one of the other armaments manufacturers. You can create as much money as you want. The problem with doing that is potential inflation. Now, as we see with hyperinflation periods or extreme cases, but even minor ones. So, where Germany was having its money problems was its basis of trade, meaning it needed to pay off money in US dollars or British pounds or French francs or whatever the currency was to buy raw materials from outside of Germany. That's where the money. So gold does work there, but it doesn't work. It's not the domestic economies where they were hurting for money. They could have as much money as they want. They could buy as much thing as the government wants. The problem comes is that if you're having 10,000 factory workers build tanks that you're giving to the army, those factory workers are going to get paid. Now, obviously, the factory's also buying steel, so they're going to pay the steel workers, and the steel plant's going to be buying iron ore, so they're going to pay iron ore miners money. So all this money is going to be paid to these people. It's going to spread out. It's going to be in paychecks eventually. Now, if the government is buying a bunch of tanks, they're not then taking out and selling the tank, because they could on the international market, but generally most countries don't just, oh, you want a tank put in your garage? Okay, you can have one. The United States, we can talk about the Constitution, it might be, and obviously there are people who own demilitarized tanks, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about, in a practical sense, you're not buying, this is not a government concern in which they're turning around and making money selling the tanks. So these people are going to walk out with their money, and there's not going to be something for them to go buy, because there's only so many radios being built, or there's only so much food to be had, or there's only it only costs so much for the rent, and if they're now making more money, they want a bigger apartment, and this is a controlled economy. So what do you do with this? Well, and see, this doesn't happen when it's a regular commercial thing. If, say, it's a car working for Henry Ford or Volkswagen here, they're out there making cars that then somebody's buying. So, and potentially they're buying, because I talked earlier about the Ford idea, and Volkswagen sort of picked up on it, was that the people working in the factories would be able to buy the car. So what do? They can spend the money on the car or on other things. And so if it's general in the economy, as more people get paid, there's generally more jobs because they want to buy more stuff. So it's a compounding situation. The more jobs normally means there's more cash in the economy. So somebody who makes a widget can sell the widget, or otherwise simply they're making widgets and stacking them up in a room, and can't keep doing that until you get the income. So economies can build, but with a planned, managed economy, and the big thing that they were doing was expanding industry, expanding resource extraction, and then expanding military production. None of those things, if they're all working towards that military production, it adds to the amount of people employed, but it doesn't help that upward expansion of the economy to have goods for them to be paid, because the steel is going into the tanks, or the bricks are going into an armaments factory. So they're not building new apartment buildings that are nicer, newer for your factory worker, going from whether living at home or living in a cramped apartment with 4 kids, that he can move into a nice house or a bigger apartment or whatever. There is this upward ability because there isn't the free resources to build those apartments. Like I say, they're taking away from the other parts of the planet economy. Now we can talk about, there was the Bauhaus movement, and the Nazis did get rid of most, and I think I mentioned this in either earlier episode here or in the previous series, that the Nazis worked very hard to improve, for the right type of Germans, again, I want to stress that, the living conditions in Germany. And they very much improved that. But without, you have the inflationary thing. So this program is a genius plan for its day. It's the 5-mark plan. There's a few ways to build a factory. We built the factory here in Brunswick, English or German, and building the big plant there. You can either save up enough money to be able to build a factory, or you can take out a loan to build the factory. Now this is the government basically building this, so they're going to go out and build it. And so now when it comes to a car, you can either have somebody save up to buy the car, and then once they have enough money go out and buy the car, or they can buy a car and say with a loan, because hey, I have this great job at a tank factory, so I'm going to be making this money, and the government's going to be making tanks for the next 20 years, or buying tanks, so I'm got a guaranteed job for the next 20 years, so I want to buy this car and I'll be able to pay it off, no problem. Well, they didn't have the cars because they were building the factory and they were starting production, and this is at different dates along the line here. So they didn't have all the cars to fill all the needs. So but you have all this money coming into the system from this, somewhat compared to like America at this time is in the Depression still. Now you can talk about all the problems that are going on with that, but and other parts of the world weren't necessarily doing so well. But the German economy, the civil economy, is doing all right. So you have all this money out here, but you don't have, nearly the ability, to satisfy the demand, and you don't have the cars to sell. You just don't have them. So they did the reverse. They got the people to weekly put in 5 marks into a savings book. Here's the cover here, and somebody put them in to, every week you go buy your stamp, and you save up, and once you get enough of these, and in 4 years you'll be the owner of a car. So instead of buying the car now and paying it off in 4 years, you start paying it now in 1938, and in 4 years you'll get it, and it's in small increments. And I think you could suspend, I'm not absolutely sure on this, but I think you could, like, if you couldn't afford 5 marks for a few weeks, you just didn't get the stamp, so it just took longer to eventually get it. But I don't think it was transferable, meaning I don't think you could get halfway through and then sell it to somebody else. You had to go through the whole thing and get the car. So if you had, if you lost your job, or you had unexpected expenses, it wasn't like, hey, you couldn't make the car payment, so the company came and took it away. No, you just delayed getting your car. So this was a genius plan to claw back into the government coffers some of all this money that they've been pumping the system up, having people work, building the Autobahn, building the West Wall. So all those people are being paid, building the armaments factories, working in the armaments factories, making the arms, all of that stuff that the governments are expending money on. They're now able to claw it back into, basically claw it out of the economy, and in essence delay. Eventually they're going to give you a car for it. And if you manage it all right, meaning you don't too overpromise, meaning you know how many cars are going to be demanded in 4 years' time, and if you're building a factory to get there, and you may have a delay, okay, people will put up with 6 months, maybe even a year's delay, that you've got registered, that you've saved up, and you've paid off everything, and as soon as the car's ready, you'll get it. And you can handle that. You can set this up. So it was a genius plan to claw back in the money to keep inflation from happening without actually giving anybody anything. So this reduces dissent, because people think, hey, I'm going to get a nice new car. Okay. We've been talking a lot about the German operation in Czechoslovakia. They were also similarly doing things in Poland. Not as big, not as directed, but Zapot, which is right there in part of the Danzig Free City Zone. It's a casino town set up in the Free State of Danzig. This cover here that's there, Die Moen, the Seagull magazine. You can see the little red dot there. That's where it was, and that's sort of, as you see, just like this province very similarly matches the historic Free City. And this was a resort town, it was a casino town, it was sort of, you know, get away from whatever. Highly visited by Germans, but also by others, so yes, nice idea. We can decide not to do it, but by allowing Germans to take their money there, it's sort of going out of our economy, so it reduces this down a little bit. We gain popularity by it. And you can see the nice casino. Notice the Nazi flags there in this Free State of Danzig, and not inside of Germany. On there at nighttime, the casino is sort of like Monte Carlo in the north. We're going to go with more info to show off there. And you can see here how they're advertising for people from all these destinations to come there. It's a National Socialist playground. There's Goebbels there with his entourage and Zapata. I thought this was interesting as one of the images from there, from the big hotel. This is the, what is it, the DCAC. We changed the initials at one time and instead of small to C. This was sort of like the German Automobile Club. And well, it was that. It came under the NSKK and very much associated. I'm still not exactly sure on the relations, whether it was an actual sub-part of the NSKK or just associated with the NSKK, which was also sort of an automobile club thing, but it's a pre-existing organization that is Nazified like everything in society, and my understanding it became denazified after the war and still exists. And there's their flag in the center there, the Nazi flag there. I was just sort of surprised by the American flag. I mean, this wasn't a magazine or anything targeted towards America, but why are they picking an American flag? To me, it's just, oh, well, of course it's an American flag, they like American tourists. But really here, I would think, you know, sort of the Nazi playground wouldn't be a Polish flag, but I don't know. There's already have a German one, Swedish, I don't know. But I thought it was interesting, curious. So, popularity. It's a health spa. They like these group organized activities, mud baths for the women, so they have nice skin. And it's a very nice holiday beach, fun time in the right, 5 days a year or whatever it is that they have on the Baltic that is nice enough to be outside. I know some of you in Poland and Sweden and whatever live there, and there's probably more than 5 days, but this is coming from a Californian's perspective. We have 5 bad days, so we lose a little more descent. Nice holiday. Okay, great. Upon, okay, in Ostmark. So in Austria we get to build. Now this is going to cost us. Now notice we get more than one event for this to cost. Because as they go. We'll take this. And it's, because notice this doesn't have a cost because we already paid it in an earlier event. We got to remember to come down here. You can come all up top. Reorganize some of this. So I think this will be a nice place to end this episode. We talked a lot in it. I hope not too much. Let's see what else. 15 bucks. Give them money for fuel. No, thank you. We don't want fuel. I talked a lot, but I hope it's been interesting. We will be continuing. Let's take a quick look. Yep, Japan's just moving in on China big time. Almost have technology here. Let's take a look at that. There we go. Let's say well, light infantry branch. Okay. Oh, well, that was we already dealt with the extra slot or light infantry or something. Okay. Okay. Thanks so much. I'll be back soon.